Hello again. Welcome once more to Kerbal Space Program. Yeah, let's pick up where we left off. So last one, we managed a Mun flyby and a little sort of go grab some science type mission. Side data surface of the Mun. I don't think so. Temperature surveys of the Mun. Yeah, we can't do any of that sort of stuff to start with. So we've got to explore the Mun and side data from space around the Mun. So we have a reason to go back and basically redo our little flyby mission. 9 years odd. Right. Orbiting the Mun is going to be a bit more awkward. So go have a look where we are. Mission control is at level 2, so we can have up to 7 contracts. We can grab some more. We know the tracking station is going to be quite expensive. Astronaut admin building is also expensive. Don't really, yeah, the strategies aren't there. Upgrading the astronaut complex isn't that bad. Mainly because it means you can go out and do EVAs, so you can get out while you're in space and do more crew reports and things. So that can pay for itself fairly quickly. The one we really need, though, is that and that. Now, that's not far off $1 million. That's not happening anytime soon. So what we need to do is go and try and do our little Mun mission again. And what we're going to do is we're going to go with Lawn Dart 5A because it's got this extra little bit added to it. So essentially what that means is we can do some science we haven't already done. So, yeah. I mean, the mission is go and get some science from space around the Mun, so do some of that. We can have either Jeb or Val. Doesn't really... I mean, the extra experience of having the Mun flyby doesn't really make the blindest bit of difference. So, there we go. 30 parts is all we can have. So, we can't have really any more performance than we've got at the moment. This will have slightly less performance than the last time. Although we did manage last time with quite a bit of fuel. So here we are. Let's just go side on like this. Jeb's happy down in the corner. We will throttle up to about 2/3 and off we go. Whee! Up we go. So again, we'll start a little bit of a pitch over. Possibly a tad early. Sometimes it's better wait till you get to about 100 meters a second for that, but yeah, it'll do. Reset that so it will show the apoapsis, which obviously is the bit we need. Yeah, we want that to be about 75-80 as we start leveling out. We're starting to get some aero effects here. That'll drop off fairly quickly as we climb through the lower atmosphere. So 10 kilometers up, and see down. Yeah. It is quite a pretty game, this. There are lots and lots of mods that will make the game look better. I may actually start investigating some of those. Just purely the visual bits. I'm not really that bothered about having the some of the other bits here. We're probably going a little bit fast there. Let's throttle up a bit now. We've got rid of the boosters. Apoapsis is now going way, way, way higher than it needs to. So basically, we've not got anything like what we need. Now let's just get that back on the course there. Orbital velocity is dropping slightly. I want that to. I would like it. And sorry about that. That's one of the drawbacks I've got with this. If Windows takes over the screen, the game minimises itself. And of course, you then combine that with a game that uses the shift key for things, in this case trimming the throttle, and Windows thinks, you must be disabled, you're trying to turn the stick keys thing on, which I'm not trying to do. And it is actually quite annoying when it says I am. Anyway. Let's keep going. I'm going to learn how to not speak on some of these videos so I can fast forward things. I will catch you up when I am in orbit. Yeah, just because I can, I'm going to speed up some of the slightly more tedious parts of this video. Yeah. And there we are in orbit. Now, as we saw last time, I need to be at about... If Mun's at the 12 o'clock position, I want to be at about the 3 o'clock position. And then I am in about the right place to get out there by the look of it. Or at least that seemed to be what happened last time, so yeah, about there should do. So what we're going to do is spin all the way around to here. I am again going to lock that so that I can see what I'm doing. And we're going to burn for Mun. Now, I'm going to stop earlier this time. The reason I'm going to stop earlier is I want to use a little bit less fuel, and I'm hoping that will give me a better encounter. We shall see. Now, the big question is that going to do it? So on here I need to turn the control wheels to pilot only, which basically turns them off. And then we can carry on. The key bit being the electrical charge. Now, I could have made that go a little bit higher without burning a great deal more fuel, but I'm concerned about fuel for getting home again. So there we go. We may get the Mun encounter, we may not. If we don't, this is going to be a science from space high above Kerbin mission instead. I'm just going to go into that, delete all of those because I don't need to see those. Back into that. Let's time warp a little bit quicker. Think I've missed this one. Yes, so that is a failed mission. We've not got what I need to do there. So what I'm going to do is crew report, which we've already had, doesn't do anything. Conduct materials study, so this is going to be, yeah, more science. I mean, it's not perfect. We're going to get some. I'm then going to tell that close the doors because it looks better. Makes absolutely no difference. Right, so what I now need to do is turn the reaction wheels back onto normal, because I now need to prepare for going home. So I want to get the periapis down to about 35. Should work. And this time for re-entry I can let Jeb handle it for me, because he can now hold retrograde, which is quite nice. Yeah, that'll do. So yes, failed mission. I need to adjust the firing point to maybe around the 4 o'clock position. But oh, we shall try again, although possibly with Val at the controls, because yeah, why not? Zoom in a bit. So we've aimed for the Mun and missed. Yeah, okay, well, that is what it is at the end of the day. Let's try the re-entry with the the Science Junior on board. Technically known as the Materials Bay, in practice it's the Science Junior. There's this little red line here. We've got communications with Kerbin at this point. What I'm now going to do is swap back to here. Don't need that anymore. See, we've got plenty of battery power. This is because I want to get a little bit nearer Kerbin before we switch over into re-entry mode. And we will be coming back wherever we are coming back, quite frankly. If it's somewhere interesting, we will get out, grab the data, we will get back in, and we will not get back in and rerun the experiment. Basically, you need a scientist. If you want to use this one more than once, you need a scientist on board. And we don't have a scientist on board, we've got a pilot. So, yeah. Okay, that's getting back. So what I'm going to do now is tell Jeb to go retrograde, and while we're doing that, I'm going to jettison that thing. And that'll spin off into eternity. And we are now going to use a little bit of electrical charge as Jeb very nicely holds holds position for me. So unlike last time where I had a lot of fiddling about to do to try and keep this thing lined up, Jeb will do it for me. Arm all the parachutes, because why not? And let's get ready to see some fiery effects. I see the heat shield starting to glow. It's starting to be used up here a little bit. You can have a problem. Sometimes, the materials bay, it's not amazingly robust. What's nice to have is the, there's like a payload bay you can put underneath it, which is a little bit more robust on landings. Sometimes you land at a slightly heavy landing and you'll crush this, which is a bit unfortunate. Some nice effects there. You can see the labels on the bottom. Yes. You can jettison the heat shields. Can be useful on some types of lander. You can have a big heat shield with legs and everything protected underneath it as you're coming down. Usually when you start deploying your parachutes, you can just drop the heat shields. Sounds like the other bit's just gone bang somewhere. If we can see any sign of Mun sort of photo bombing us this time. Not this time. Not yet, anyway. If you see now, we're going back up. In some ways slightly concerning. If we look at this here, you can see the orbit is coming down quite quickly. We may have gone slightly too high. It doesn't matter too much if we do. If we do bounce out of the atmosphere, the periapsis is lower and won't get any higher. And what that basically means is we will turn the reaction wheels off. Probably just by turning the stability system off. We will go around and we will do it again, which I think we're about to be doing. It's a little bit of an atmospheric skip. You can do this technique on Duna, which is their Mars analogy, and Eve, which is the Venus analogy. As you approach, you do this sort of thing, and instead of coming in an orbit, you end up aero capturing. It's called some aero braking. Basically means you don't have to use engine power, so you can carry less fuel, which is always good. So what I need to do here is wait until we get to 70, and we're back in space. I can then And to be honest, I probably don't need to turn that off actually. I can just do that, which turns the stability system off. And what we now do is go around and do it again. So, yeah. Slight technical hitch there, but please stand by. We will try again shortly. Not sure who I'm calling shortly, but there we go. Now, if we look down there, that's the Space Centre. That's where we came up from. There is another airfield on that little island, which you can go and visit if you have a plane. I mean, you can go there in a rocket. It's just much easier if you've got a plane, because that's what sort of things planes do. And there's two other launch pads we know of. As you gradually find a few more, you can go there. There is one actually on the Mun. Its purpose is a little bit odd, but you can build a spaceship and say, I will launch this from the Mun. So you can get away with craft that basically I'm building these quite in orbit, but it's getting there. And a proper orbital construction yard would be quite nice for building certain larger craft, but it'll do. As we get nearer to 70 again, we'll get ready to cut off. There we go. I'll tell Jeb, turn on and go retrograde again. And once again we will start hitting the atmosphere. Once again we will start to slow down. We've got plenty of heat shield left. You can see up there. Monopropellant. I need to take that out. Monopropellant is used with manoeuvring engines, which, as you will note, we don't have. And it is quite heavy, so if I take that out for the next attempt, we should get a bit further. I also need to branch over a little bit more and be a bit more aggressive in the initial gravity turn. So we shall see on that as well. And again, the heat shield is starting to glow. We're going to go down a little bit lower than we did last time. Hopefully we're going to go a lot lower and actually land, because that'd be quite nice. The parachute's ready again. Yeah, press that, nothing happens because we can't rearm them. They can be saved, and you can go in and right click on them and say disarm. You have to rearm them. You can also change the parameters. Somebody outside with a bell on their bike. It's warmed up a bit, so I've opened the windows. The dizzying heights of about 18-19 degrees in here. So yeah, with a computer doing its level best to keep the room warm. Drop that back down to surface. And all I need to see is that apoapsis go below 70, and we're well away. And I know periapsis is the lowest point in the orbit, which is 40. We're at 42, so there's a little way to go yet before we're going to stop burning this. We should be all right on this one, I suspect. And if not, we'll go round again. Now we have the power to do it. I see the electric charge is dropping off as Jeb is doing his level best to hold us pointing in the right direction. And we're doing well. You get little bars come up when the temperature on these things gets a little bit too high. You can't see it otherwise. And yes, I think we'll be fine this time. That apoapsis is dropping like a stone, so to speak. So we shall watch this down to the ground, and then we shall go back to the Space Centre and try again. Yeah, so another little speed up on the re-entry sequence. This is one of those bits you want to do when you're playing the game without speeding it up too much, but by the time the parachute's open, you are sometimes just sitting there twiddling your thumbs a little bit. So, small mercies. So here we are back at Kerbin. So first thing I want to do is test, are there any other missions we can do? See all these VIP missions here. Orbit, orbit, orbit. They pay, but they don't necessarily pay brilliantly. Some of them pay slightly better than others. See, he's not paying very much, and he just wants orbit round Kerbin. He's paying a hell of a lot more for orbit round Kerbin, and so there's that one. 2 tourists. Let's get a little bit more. The tourist missions aren't too bad, but you do need the ability to have a craft suitable. Now here I've got that's not the aviation bits if I need it. General construction. If I do this, I can start doing tourist missions, and it's giving me some bits for other things. And to be honest, I want all that anyway at some point, so I'm going to do that. We are going to carry on trying with the MUN, but what I'm also going to do is do a few tourist flights. They're a little bit tedious, but there we go. So that's... So he just wants to go suborbital, but that's fine. That's 2. Yep, we'll have that. He wants to orbit. He wants to orbit. And he wants to orbit, which is a bit lower paid, but yeah, we might as well take it. Okay, so how are we going to do that? Well, we know the humble Lawn Dart 5A will do it, but we are going to go 5D. This is the tourist version of the Lawn Dart. And I mean, in its simplest terms, it's actually quite straightforward. We take that out. Go into the payload section, coupling section, utility. Oh, there we are. We put that in, and we do that, and that is basically a tourist modified version of what we've just had. There isn't any science capability aboard this. There doesn't really need to be. This is a lot more capable. Oh yes, and while I'm at it, get rid of that monopropellant. Yeah. So the job of this is get to orbit, and we're going to bring in some tourists. And I'm just going to start with those two. I'm not too bothered who they are. They're all going to go to orbit. The other thing you can do with this is obviously give Bob and Bill a run. See, we can only launch from the launch pad at the moment. We've not been to the... We know the other sites exist, but we've not been there. So, yes. So here we are with the tourist version of the Lawn Dart. So, yeah, I'll catch you in a minute in orbit. Yeah. And again, speeding up. You can actually install a real-size solar system mod, which means to get into orbit takes even longer. I've never done it. I've never really felt the need to. I quite like the little green dudes. But here we go, going to orbit at slightly higher speed. So again, small mercies. And here we are in orbit. So thing to notice, the speed in orbit is about 2,400, 2,500. That's what you're aiming for. And over here, we see Jedster is orbited and suborbited. Haycott's got that. So what we're going to do now is go home again. Now we could immediately do a burn and just come down somewhere over here. And you know what? That's actually exactly what we're going to do. Because this makes it... This will make the mission quicker. So we've gone into orbit. We're not even... You don't actually have to do a complete orbit. We're not going to. So I'm going to burn my fuel. Periapsis has dropped quite dramatically, so we are coming back now no matter what. And what I'm doing is I'm trying to get the landing point to be somewhere in the water. I don't want it to be too... I don't want it like down here somewhere, because we'll probably come in a bit too steep if I do that. Here maybe, not here. This side of the peninsula will do quite nicely. May not get a vast amount of choice in this because we're not far out of fuel. Yeah, about there will do. So that gives us that. That gives us beautiful Kerbin down below. Get rid of that. I can leave stability on. Jeb will guide us down. We're still actually climbing, if you notice. We're still going to go up a little bit further. And then we're going to start coming back down. And again, as we get to about 70, I will let Jeb take over. Because he's better at flying these things than I am, and this is why he gets paid the big bucks. Yes, but here we are, the first successful flights, well, successful so far, of Laundart 5T. So we shall, again, I shall arm all the parachutes, and then we will, I will catch you again on the ground. Or at the inquiry if it doesn't work. Yeah, see, here we have a little bit of a problem. Jeb's fighting the thing to try and keep it the right way round. Managing so far. At the moment the drogue pops, we're fine. Basically, if this thing flipped around at this point, we would have a problem because it would no longer slow down. And then it would be, well, it wouldn't be a crater because we're heading for the water. Anyway, I'll catch you on the ground. Water. Yeah. Now here we are back. Now see, we've gained 0 signs from doing that. Absolutely no point in doing it at all. We can check in here again. And now that's an interesting one. I want to find out what the TD25 is. I think that's the big one, which is a problem. Yeah, TD25 is a big one, so I can't really do that at the moment. What I was looking at is if that was the smaller one, which is actually the TD12, we're going to be doing that mission anyway. Test that one landed. That's now really not worth the trouble. Active, we have a couple more tourist missions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fly a couple more tourist missions in fast forward. We are going to gain some money. And I will catch you back here in a few minutes. Yeah, and since this this tourist flight is basically a repeat of the one we've just seen, I'm going to do the whole thing at 10 times speed. So we're, as before, we're just basically going to get up into orbit. We're going to complete the mission contracts. We are going to turn around. We are going to do a bit of a braking burn. And then we're going to come back. And then we're going to collect the fares. This sort of mission does get a little bit grindy, but it's a pretty decent way of raising little bits of money. It's not vast amounts, but if you do a few of these missions, by the time you've done some, you get fairly proficient at launching. So it's all practice at the end of the day, and then yeah, you can speed it up on playback. And that's that one. And again, no science. You get a bit of money though. Anything here? A couple more of these. Fly by the Mun. You see that? That's not going to pay as much as it needs to. And that one doesn't either. So we're going to do this one more time. What I'm going to do is save the Laundart 5T. We're going to come over here. I'm going to put the last tourist in, and I'm going to put Bob on board as a scientist. The reason for putting Bob on board, when he lets up to level 1, he just gets better at doing certain things. Down here, you guys tell me anything, Jeb? Bob, yeah. So he can generate more science when he gets a little bit of experience. So we're going to give him a little bit of experience. And once again, I'll be trying a slightly more aggressive gravity turn on liftoff, because all of this is practice. And other than that, I will catch you all briefly in orbit, and then we shall head home. And again, another really fast liftoff. This one doesn't go quite according to plan. Nothing dangerous, I just end up in a much, much larger orbit than I had expected to be. Essentially, I scocked up on the gravity turn there. I didn't turn over as far enough, wasn't burning sideways fast enough. Still, here we go. And here we are in orbit. Now, you may notice I fluffed that a little bit. We're going to go a lot higher. So what I'm actually going to do is wait until we get round here and then do the deorbit burn to bring us back down again. Incidentally, that little green line is the line of communication, telling us who we're talking to. When you start putting satellites up, unless you can talk to them, you can't tell them what to do. So you end up with the early ones get a little bit more interesting. Right, so what we're going to do here is retrograde that, and we're going to try and land. Oh, look at that, the desert launch site. I wonder. This may work, it may not. What I'm going to try and do is adjust the orbital track so we can land somewhere vaguely near it. I'm not very good at this, suffice it to say. This is referred to as a plane change, and it's quite expensive to do in terms of fuel. Right, so Kerbin's going to go around a little bit further by the time I want to get there, so I'm going to do that. I'm then going to say prograde, and what I'm going to do is aim for over here somewhere and hope just fine tune that a little bit. Now what that said is our lowest point, which is around here somewhere, is going to be 20 odd. I suspect that may be a little bit high still. Going to try that, and I'm going to see how close that gets us to it. We'll either land there or we'll be over here somewhere, I think. But we shall see. Here we are. So what I'm going to do now is time warp again until we get a little bit closer. There is a mod you can use where you say, I want to land here. And it'll do a remarkably good job for you, especially on planets with moons with no air. You can literally land on top of another spacecraft with it. I'm not using that. The only mod I'm contemplating using is the one that lets me use the joystick I've got for doing this game, which is the Kerbal Simpit mod that I've mentioned before. But we shall see. Here we come down nicely. And again, we're a little over 70. There we go. I'll do that. And get rid of that. Depending on what you do, you can actually watch those come in. So, yeah, see, that's rotated around a little bit further. There's the crater facility over there. So Jeb is going to this. Over here somewhere there is a tracking station, which if you get an aircraft you can go and visit. What I'm hoping to do is get this near enough to this the desert airfield that I could potentially launch from there. I don't know whether that'll work. It might do, it might not. We shall see. Here, this is going to show my orbit decaying. It's not quite at the point of well, we are coming down, put it that way, at this point. I'm going to come here and watch. The reason I'm not using the fast forward here is the physics can get a little bit wonky, and Jeb is having a little bit of trouble holding this one fully on its assigned flight path. So, you see at the moment we're going to fly over it currently. Over here somewhere. And once again, Jeb's loving this. Hadrod is looking okay, and Bob bizarrely isn't panicking, which is a little bit. Bob and Bill are almost the source of the comedy in the game. As neither of them really signed up to actually flying. So yeah, so we're definitely impacting somewhere. Well, we'll see how close we get. Parachutes armed. You say there was a little temperature bubble briefly. Yeah, I think we're going to land short. We're going to land over here somewhere where it's a desert airfield launch site. We're actually not. We're not on track to be above it either. So yeah, we're now definitely landing short. Oh well, it's over by those hills by the look of it. Not a bad effort. We will then see how much money we have at the end of this, when these guys have all paid for their flights. So yeah, we're quite a long way short. Ah well, worth a try. So there we are. Oh, a few others we might be able to do. That one's worth grabbing. That's relatively straightforward. Test at the launch site. Yeah, I can't be bothered with those. Okay, so there we are. And I think I'm going to leave those for next time. When we shall do a few more little bits and pieces and try once more for the Mun. Yeah, so thank you very much, everybody, and you stuck with us for this long, and I will catch you all in the next one as the exciting adventures of Jeb and the gang continue. Thank you very much, and goodbye.